Dear students, welcome to the knowledge series. We are going to discuss on process. This is in continuation to the previous video series on the operating systems, which we are going to carry forward with the next sections of the slides. So here the process means the program in executions. So whenever a particular program is being executed by the process by the systems or by the CPU completely, then we term it as a process. And process is basically managed by the operating systems, and it is a heavy weighted task. Now let's see that a word task I have just now used. So task is simply a set of instructions, and that is loaded in the memory or loaded into the memory. And task is a part of job. There is another term termed as thread. Threads are basically used for the small task, whereas process are used for the heavy weighted task. So threads are within the same process. Job is another term. The job is a set of process, while task is a process. So when we say job, it is nothing but a process plus program. That you just keep it in your mind. So we started with the process. A process is a sequence of steps performed by a program to complete a task. So the process uses the data specified in the program and carries out the instructions in the program accordingly. So here, when you see the process, it is having a different states, just like new state, ready state, running state, waiting state, and terminated state. So let's see what this state actually reflects. So when we say new, it means that it is going to create a new process, or it is going to bring all the process which need for the executions. Or in another word, we say the process is in this in the stage that is being created for the executions. But here the next state is termed as a ready state. Now ready state means it is assigned for the process to be in a queue, or the process has all the resources available that is need to run, but it is not in a state where the CPU is currently working. Rather, it is being put under that state where the process which is arrived at the new state conditions, that is being put in a queue or in a orderly manner. The next state is a running state. Running state is the instruction to execute, or in another word, the CPU is working on the process instructions. So all that particular process is going to execute. Now when the CPU is executing that particular process, there is no guarantee that the all process will execute. In certain situations, the process may not able to execute because there is a lack of input-output operations. So under that particular condition, if the resources is not available, then that process is put under the waiting condition. So the process cannot run at the moment by the CPU, because it is waiting for some resources that is being available for the certain events to occur. So in that particular conditions, the process need to wait. So that is known as a waiting state. And once the interprocess message is being received, and the timer goes off, then the particular process will try to switch from the waiting to ready state. And there is a state when the CPU executes completely that particular process, then it goes to terminate. Under certain conditions, if the particular process need to be stopped from further executions by CPU, the other state is nothing but interrupt states. So it moves from the run back to the ready state. So you can see here, admitted state is the state between new and the ready, and the state between the ready and the running is known as scheduler dispatch, and running to terminate is nothing but exit situations, and running state to waiting state is nothing but input or event wait. That is, event resource is, if it is not available, so it is waiting for that. And once that particular IO event is completed, it goes back to the ready state. So this is how the 5 states are being defined with respect to the process. Now, if you go further, you can see in this particular slide, on the right side, you can see another figure with respect to the process. Now, what is that particular figure says? Now, here is a physical memory, and this is a memory space. Here is also a memory space, and you can see that there are 2 processes running. So that is what it is being shown over here. So this is something related to the thread and process. So when you see a process, inside that one, a thread is being shown, and I have already stated to you with respect to that particular meaning of that particular thread is nothing but it's a part of that particular process, or we state that thread are used for a small task, whereas process is used for the heavy task. So that is what we have shown here, a thread 1, thread 2 for a process 1, thread 1, thread 2 for a process 1. Now thread, basically it is essentially a subdivision of process. So you can put it as inside thread is used for the small task, so that's why it is a subdivision or a light-weighted process. So a process, basically it's generally the major or separate unit for the executions recognized by the operating systems. And the typical relationship between the process, thread, and the various other elements of the operating systems, as you can see over here, where the process is shown in a 2 part, that is a 2 process, each is split by the 2 threads. That means every process is having a 2 thread, and followed by, there are some other things like a thread scheduler, processors, memory space. All these terms you can see over here. Now, as you all know that from the secondary memory, when the informations or the data is passed to the primary memory with its address and the memory space, that is what being shown with respect to the memory mapping between the memory space and the physical memory. So when the process 1 access some given memory location, so here we have shown a memory locations 0 by 8000. So that is the address mapped to some of the physical memory address. And process 2 having a location 0 into 8000 also being shown to the physical memory, but in a different locations. So a thread, when we talk, so a thread is a subdivisions that shares the memory space. So here there are 2 threads are there, so it will share the different shares the memory space and separately. So when either of the thread 1 or a thread 2 of this particular process one access the this memory space 0 into 8000. So that refers the access of the physical address. That is with respect to the physical space or memory space of the physical memory address. So here you have to remember that thread belongs to what? A process. So that is what I shared earlier. So there are some of the key elements within this particular process that is related to its resources, such as working directory, environmental variable, file handles. These are the certain things which is coming inside this particular process. Another things you should remember that inside this thread there are some terms like a stack, a register, and PC. These are the things we have. PC stands for program counter. So here these are the essential things that is a part of the thread, and that is needed in order to have a independent dependency with the operating systems. Thread also has some other resources like a thread storage, local storage, that is the area where the operating systems generally attach the bit for keeping information with respect to the thread. So like that there are many other components with respect to the threads. Now another components you can see here is nothing but a thread scheduler. These are generally the part how the thread has to be scheduled or how the particular thread has to be shared so that CPU can know how to process that particular informations from the thread depending upon the sequence or depending upon the schedule. So here is a processor that process the based on the thread scheduler, and that thread scheduler inside the process having the stack, having the register for storing the information, stack for allowing the threads to either first in first out or last in first out, like that any stack order that and also the program counter for execution of the instructions based on the various address points with respect to the physical memory space that is being shared by the process, each process. So this is how the particular process is being executing with respect to the certain hardware infrastructures. So all this control, all these actions, all this the process movement with respect to these subunits or we call it as these working directories, or the environmental variable or the file handles. All this control is being handled by the operating systems. Now we go to the another area is about the functions of the operating systems. We have talked about a lot in the our earlier video series. The functions are nothing but a batch operating systems, multitasking, time sharing operating systems, multiprocessing operating systems, real-time operating system, which is our point of discussion, distributed operating system, network operating systems, and mobile operating systems. As a name, the batch operating systems means that it is an earlier form of operating systems where we use a punch card systems for processing the particular informations, and based on the users requirement, the batch operating systems will never allow the user to directly interact with the computers. Rather, it will have intermediate point where the operator or the computer operator will collect that punch card from the users and submit to the submit to the computer for processing it. So the user is not directly interacted, rather a computer operator is the one who interact with the computer. So this computer operator was later replaced by the operating systems. Now coming to the multitasking or a time sharing operating system. Time sharing operating system, basically it enables the people to identify or locate different terminals. So that is a multitask. So various tasks. Time sharing is just like a time division multiplexing. Okay. Now here in the time sharing operating systems, people located at a different terminals can use a single computer. So that single computer is nothing but a host, and the people who use the computer, that is the terminals. So the processor time or CPU is being CPU time is being shared among the multiple users, is termed as a time sharing. Now when we talk about multi processing systems, you have to remember that there will be the processor will have a more than one core, so that it can able to process a multiple task at a same instance. So that is known as a multi-processing operating systems. Now real-time operating systems. When we talk about a real-time operating systems, a real-time operating systems is basically a time intervals to process and response the input in a very small instance. So that's, for example, you talk about a space shuttle or a immediate braking systems, or for example, if you talk about military software systems, all these things comes under the real-time operating systems. Distributed operating systems, basically it uses many processors located in a different position or different machines, just like in the internet. We are having various processors, the servers located at the different points to provide a very fast computations to the users. Network operating system, basically it runs on a server, and it provides the capability to serve or manage like a data and various groups, various applications, and various security systems and other networking functions that is being handled by these network operating systems. Mobile operating systems, when we talk about a mobile operating systems, it is those operating system which is designed to power the smartphone, tablets, wearable device. All these things is called as a mobile operating systems. And now when we talk about mobile operating system, Android, iOS, BlackBerry, Webs, Symbian, all these things comes under the mobile operating systems. Here one thing you have to see is that if you take into account various operating systems like a Unix, DOS, Mac OS, OS, MS Windows, Linux, mobile OS or a Palm OS. All these OS, when we take into consideration how it appears. Now when you talk about a Unix, it is a multi-user and multitasking. And similarly, multi-user multitasking is coming under Linux also. Whereas when you talk about DOS, it is a single user, single tasking, and but Mac OS and Palm OS, mobile OS is a single user, but it is having a multiple tasking. So if you want to go for a multi-users like a and multitask like a railway ticket booking or a banking application, or like that many applications are there. So we say that like a multi-user multitasking. Now here command line is a user interface. Here also the command line is a user interface. When you use a commands, so like if you are using a DOS, so the command where you write the command, it's like a command line is a user interface. But in the Mac OS and the Windows OS as well as the mobile, you are using a graphical user interface, that one. In the Linux, we are using both the command line as well as the graphical user interface. Yeah, Unix has several versions, but it lacks from the interoperability. That is the limitation of the Unix. And DOS was the initial phase of the operating system, but it was replaced by the MS Windows operating systems. Mac OS is, of course, it is easy to use using the graphical user interface. MS Windows was the first operating systems, and way back in in the period of 1985, I believe so. In the year 1985, the operating systems that come across was the MS-DOS. So the MS-DOS, MS-DOS was in 1981. That was and Windows 95. It was developed in the in 1995. So the first MS-DOS MS operating Windows operating system is the MS Windows 95. So that is what being put across here. Now Linux operating system is open source software systems, and Palm OS is defined. It is designed by the PDA. Unix is a network operating system. DOS is a desktop. Mac is also desktop. Windows is also desktop. This is a network OS, and this is a mobile operating system. So that's how this operating system is defined. Now here the slide shows the computing device example. Now this one uses operating systems like computers, mobile phones, 3D televisions, video games, ATM, ticket vending machines. This all uses the operating system. And the one which does not use the operating system is like a speedometer or speed meter or digital watch, micro ovens, washing machines, calculator. All these things does not use the operating system, but which is having a high-end area or the maximum process need to execute. There we use the operating systems. Now, before we go to that next segment, I just want to share with respect to another one point is that we normally come across particular terms, like for example, people used to say 32-bit or a 64-bit operating systems. Now, when we talk about under this operating system, 32-bit or a 64-bit, what exactly it means? Now 32-bit, if you talk with respect to the memory, so in the 32-bit system it is limited to 3.2 GB of RAM, whereas in 64-bit operating system it allows a maximum of 17 billion GB of the RAM. So that is the RAM capacity talks with respect to. Now another thing is that in a 32-bit operating systems, it has an application requires a 32 bits. So that's why 32-bit operating and CPU it becomes compatible. Whereas in 64-bit, if you are going, then 64-bit applications it requires for the 64-bit operating systems and the CPU. That you have to keep it in. And it can able to process 32-bit will process the 32-bit data processing. Whereas if you talk about a 64-bit, it will go for a 64-bit processing. So that's how we normally define. So if you talk from the system available, say for example, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows Vista, Windows XP, Linux, it supports the 32-bit. And even Windows XP, Professional Vista 7, Mac OS, Linux, they are also they supports the 64-bit. So 32-bit and 64-bit are normally whenever we download the application, certain application it mentions that it supports the 64-bit, and most of the application you find that it supports the 32-bit. That's how the system during the configuration is being defined with respect to the applications that you are running. Now we go to the next is the type of the operating systems. The type of the operating systems as we discuss, the type of operating systems we categorized into three parts. One is a standalone operating systems, another is network oriented operating systems, and third is embedded operating systems. Now, what exactly this standalone operating systems, network operating system, embedded operating systems in play? Standalone operating systems is basically it is a complete operating system that work on a desktop or a notebook computer systems. So that is known as a standalone. The example is DOS, Windows 2000 Professional, Mac OS X. So that is a standalone operating systems. Another is under the standalone operating system, we have also put as a desktop operating systems. So like a Windows, Mac, Linux, all these things is coming under the desktop operating system. That is a part of the standalone operating systems. The next is a network operating systems. Network operating system means that provide extensive supports to the computer network. So that's why a network operating systems typically resides on a server. That you have to keep it in the mind. Like a Windows 2000 server, Unix, Linux, Solaris, these are nothing but a network operating systems. Now coming to the embedded operating systems, that means the operating systems can handle by the computers and small devices. So that is known as embedded operating system, and it resides on a ROM chip. So a read-only memory chip, it resides. So some of the embedded operating system is VxWorks, Micro-C OS 2 or 3 versions, Windows CE, Pocket PC 2000, Palm OS, Linux OS, PSOS, Commercial RTOS, ARTS, Mars. Mars is nothing but maintainable real-time systems. So like that, different operating systems is being configured accordingly. When we talk about Linux OS, it is basically a real-time embedded system, and its application is basically for the avionics in the aerospace, in the military application, or even in the industrial process control or telecommunication. This Linux OS is being is used. So like that, different OS is there. Apart from this, we can see Micro-C operating systems and a VxWorks. That is what we will be talking in the later part. In the Micro-C, it is a microcontroller operating system versions 2 or 3 is developed by the Jean J. Labros. So he is the one who developed this Micro-C operating systems. And this particular operating systems is a preemptive mode of a real-time operating systems, where the CPU can be interrupted at any interval so that it can relinquish that particular task and divert to the other execution of the process. And it supports the 64 tasks out of which 8 are system tasks. So that is the Micro-C configurations. And moreover, the round-robin scheduling algorithm is not supported by this OS. So that you have to keep it in mind, that this RR scheduling is not supported by this operating systems. The other is a VxWorks. VxWorks is having something like a monolithic architecture. We have seen earlier is that micro architecture and the monolithic architecture. So it is a monolithic architectures, and a real-time POSX compliant configurations and cross-development systems. So that is how the VxWorks operating system is being configured. More about it will be seen in the point of VxWorks. And PSOS, it's basically an object-oriented operating system. So that's what the part of the operating systems that we have seen over here is being discussed. Now you have to understand, when we talk about operating systems, it has a certain advantage, it has also having a certain disadvantage. The advantage part of the operating system is that basically it allows the first of all is that it allows the details of the hardware by creating the certain abstractions. So that is what one of the advantages that. And moreover, it has several other advantages like that one. It is easy to use with the graphical user interface, and it offers the environment in which the user can execute various programs or applications. That is the another advantage is that the operating systems can ensure the computer systems to operate in such a way that the user find it's like the system is user friendly. That is what make it more suitable or more convenient for the users. And operating systems it acts as an intermediary between the application and the hardware component. Moreover, the computer systems can be easily configured so that the resource can be accessed in an easy way with the help of the operating systems. When you talk about a disadvantage part of the operating system is that in case of any issues is there in the operating systems, then entire things will become crash. Entire computer system crash off. Moreover, the operating systems is little expensive as compared to the other programs, because it carries a lot of programs as well as lot of supporting system configurations. So that's how we find it expensive as compared to the simple application program. And it is never entirely secure when a virus or any threats comes. So that's the disadvantage part. So that's what we have discussed with respect to the operating systems so far. So let me summarize the operating systems like that. Operating system is basically a software that acts as an interface between the user and the computer systems. And operating system was developed way back in the year 1950s, and later on as the development took place, DOS, first of all it was like a disk was evolved, then DOS was there, then Windows MS and DOS evolved. So like the development of the operating systems keep on taking a upper trend. Then we have discussed about the kernel, and the kernel, as you know, it is a central component of the operating systems, and the main job of the kernel is to manage the communications between the software and hardware. So along with the kernel, we talked about the shell. So shell, what exactly the shell is doing? Shell is doing an interface between the user's programs to the kernel. So that's, or we can to the operating systems. And we talked about later on the monolithic kernel and the microkernel. That are the two popular type of a kernel. That's we discussed. We talked about the process. We talked about different functions of the operating systems, and finally we talked about different types of the operating systems. So these are the basic discussions with respect to the operating systems we carry out in the previous and in this segment of the video series. Thank you.